What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Happy Sunday. Hopefully you guys have a good weekend happening. So like the title of the video suggests, I did take 24 hours off from playing Raid. This means that I missed a couple clan boss keys and all that. This is actually the first time that I actually probably took a legitimate, day off in a long time. Maybe ever, to be honest. Even if I'm on vacation, I usually log on to Raid, or even on vacation, I still make videos. So yeah, taking a full day off was a bit of a stretch. I felt like we could have taken a day off because all the events I had finished already and there was nothing really pressing. Even today, there's nothing really pressing. I'm finished all the events for the fusion, and then I'm just waiting for the new events to open, and then we'll tackle those. So I felt taking a break was totally okay. Had a bit of a social outing, and you guys know what I did with my social outing. I went out to go play poker at my local casino. Now, some of you guys may or may not know from my streams that I mentioned that I used to play poker pretty much professionally, but very low stakes and all that, basically throughout my university years. And playing poker was definitely advantageous for me because it helped me pay for my tuition and all that, supplement my income while I worked part-time as well. So it was a really big part of my life over a decade ago. But since then, I haven't really gone and played poker like ever. And to me, it was always a very analytical and strategic kind of endeavor. Not so much about gambling, but obviously there's inherent gambling associated with poker and casinos and all that. And while I was basically playing poker on my day off, I realized some things. And of course, I tie that into Raid because Raid is a massive part of my life. And I just wanted to give you guys like a friendly reminder that gambling is a illness. Gambling is an illness. Now, it hits pretty close to home because gambling has definitely affected my family quite negatively. So I'm a big advocate for responsible gambling and basically seeing it as entertainment. But I can definitely tell you from firsthand experience that it has a very, very negative dark side. And Raid is something that definitely teeters on that. And I can see that it's very difficult for a lot of people to kind of disassociate the fact that Raid is inherently gambling. So any kind of money you spend into this game for the chance of, perhaps something good, a good outcome, is obviously some form of gambling. But when you're associating money with it, it becomes a lot more dangerous, especially when the money is spent irresponsibly. So Plarium is very, very sneaky, basically putting all of these gambling mechanics and ways to earn monetary value in a game that basically, disguises itself as a slot machine game. But the added benefit is that they don't actually pay you out any money. They pay you in-game goodies, of course, but you have to spend money for those goodies, which is even better. It gives you higher returns than a regular kind of gambling website. So they've packaged it all up into a pretty fancy kind of game here. But we have to realize that, spending money in this is basically just a slot machine pull, right? Every time. So like I said, guys, I just wanted to give you guys a bit of a friendly reminder of what this game really is. And I'll follow that up with a couple pointers here. So if you guys are looking to kind of spend money in this game, like obviously spend money on things that kind of progress your account, because progressing your account is investing in your account, which allows your account to basically do more things like farm shards, like farm better gear. Buying things like shards give you a one-time kind of quick boost. And it's a gamble, right? And then you get a little bit of a boost only if you get lucky. And even if you get lucky, if your account's not progressed, you can't farm the books, you can't farm the masteries, you can't farm the resources necessary to build up the champion. So that's why I say, if you want to spend money in this game, do it on non-gambling things, such as the, do it on the monthly gem pack. The monthly gem pack gives you a, small little boost every day, a little bit of gems, which provide you energy, which you can put into your account, and you can convert that into things like masteries, which give you basically permanent value on your account, because that champion will always have those scrolls and you can always use that champion. That champion will always be stronger because you got masteries for it. You can convert the gems into energy, and then the energies can obviously get you gear, can farm you other resources, which progress your account in the other ways. But buying basically shards obviously gives you the biggest, dopamine boost, and it has the highest level of RNG, but getting shards is a very, very short-term kind of gamble. It's not going to progress your account if you don't get lucky, and generally they cost quite a bit of money. So I would definitely advocate for the gem pack. If you guys are looking for a, gear boost, the Forge Pass gives you very, very good value. It gives you a lot of very good gear For a reasonable amount of money, basically just think about that money converted into energy and then farming like a top tier dungeon. Would you be able to get the same amount of crafted, forge gear? Probably not. You'll get more silver and all that, but you won't get the quality of gear from the forge pass. So I definitely recommend, if you're going to spend money in the game and if you want gear or if you need gear, the forge pass is going to be good for that, especially for accounts that can't farm high levels of dungeons yet. So the Forge Pass definitely gives you a big shot in the arm in terms of gear. And I would say these are kind of good investments into your account and less about gambling. I guess a quick piggyback off of that spending wisely thought is basically just create a budget for yourself. Give yourself a budget, maybe like, $10 for the monthly gem pack and maybe $30 for a monthly Forge Pass. And then basically just say, I'm not going to spend any more than this for a month. If it's a Black Friday month or a Christmas month, for example, then, don't buy the Forge Pass, wait for a better deal, spoil yourself a little bit, that's totally fine, right? But spend within reason, treat it as entertainment and not something you really need to chase. And definitely don't prioritize spending in this game, outside of your other responsible spending first, right? Obviously your bills come first, keeping yourself alive comes first. And I would probably always say it's never a good idea to go in debt with spending. Now, the other big thing with this game is that it's an expert in giving players extreme FOMO. And this is basically the driver of a lot of monetary revenue, I'm sure, is the fact that we have extreme FOMO for a lot of things. For example, like limited time IP fusions, limited IP champions, limited events. Now, a good disciplined approach to all this is basically just setting yourself some sort of time limit or play limit per day. For example, maybe you don't want to do all the advanced quests. Maybe it just takes too long. Just do the key ones just to progress your account, which helps your account the most. Don't spend the time doing things that you don't really want to do, but you're just doing it because of FOMO, because you think that things are going to happen in the future where you're going to need these resources. That's kind of a slippery slope, right? So sacrificing those things, like for example, Doom Tower keys. Maybe you just don't have the capacity to use all the Doom Tower keys in the fort. Or Tag Team Arena, for example. Things that just take up time that just aren't worth it for you. Just let it go. There's no need to FOMO about it. Obviously, if you're free to play, you're going to need to farm every single resource if you want to progress your account as crazy as it can be. But don't let it affect your mental state. And if you're a spender, don't let it affect the way you spend. The feeling of catching up, the feeling of FOMO will always drive that revenue to Plarium. You really have to think about this game as a journey for yourself, not a competition between you and somebody else, because there's always going to be somebody else that spends more, has a better account, has a stronger account. So it's always a competition with yourself to see how well you can do with what you have. And that's probably just the healthiest way of approaching this game. The next point would be setting realistic goals for yourself. If you have, a very busy lifestyle and you can't attribute that much time into the game, then you can't expect to do everything in the game as somebody that does attribute a lot of time and money into this game can. So setting realistic expectations makes a lot of sense. You might just be a player that only logs in and completes free login champions. I've seen some players like that as well. And that's totally fine, but don't expect to be able to conquer the top level content all of this game with ease, right? That ties into fusions. If you're not actively playing or if you're not spending a lot of money, then fusions aren't going to be happening for you on a regular basis, right? So you can't, hit up all the fusions. Definitely be limited in your selection of which fusions you want to go for. But you can't compare yourself against somebody that spends a lot of money or spends a lot of time in the game. They will be able to get all the fusions, for example, right? Now, this all ties into FOMO, right? And FOMO, like I said, is a big revenue driver for Plarium, and it's going to, really entice people to spend money in this game and then sink into this whole gambling hole where they just kind of just get dump money into this game. And then they get into this thing where it's called sunk cost fallacy, where you basically invest more and more time into something because you spent more and more money into it. And it's very hard for people to get away from that because they feel invested into the game. They've invested real money, they've invested real time. Like for myself, I haven't invested any real money, but I've invested a lot of time. And this basically means it's very hard for me to walk away because I invested all of this time. Same applies for people that invest all this money. And it's very much a vicious cycle. So people that invest money, they say, I can invest more money or I should invest more money because I've already invested this money already. Now, it's really hard to get out of this cycle because people are in it for various reasons, but you have to at least acknowledge that you are in this cycle, and you don't have to be. You can just start the detachment process, right? I just wanted to piggyback off of what I was saying about you being in a competition against yourself. Now, joining a more relaxed clan instead of a very competitive, sweaty clan really helps that, because when you're in a relaxed clan, you're basically gliding along by yourself. Yes, you can interact with your clan and all that, but it's a lot less casual, a lot more casual, sorry, compared to a highly competitive, highly coordinated clan, which could add added pressure, right? This pressure could lead to, possibly spending or overextending of certain resources in the game. Now, if you recognize that this could be a problem, joining a more casual clan can reduce some of the negative aspects that kind of push people into, overextending themselves. So this is something that you need to realize and recognize yourself. And I think something that just, allows you to play at your own pace, like being in a casual clan, would really help people, especially if they're having issues controlling their own spending or investment into this game. Like I said, guys, this is more of a just friendly reminder for everything. Obviously, you guys make your own money. You guys can spend it the way you guys want. But I just wanted to highlight a couple tips that might help some of you guys out there. Because like I said, gambling, overspending on things like this is definitely, can be an illness. And it's something that you need to recognize early and do things that help you get out of this cycle before it really negatively impacts you. Anyways, guys, like I said, I took a 24-hour break, had a little bit of self-reflection. And the best place where all this comes together is obviously in a gambling casino, where you see all sorts of people, right? And I'm no stranger to that scene, and I've seen a lot of lives ruined because of gambling. And like I said, I have personal experience with it with people close to me in my life, and that's one of the reasons why I'm also free to play. I don't spend any money into any games. Because I know inherently it's a bottomless pit. You just keep spending money. There's no end to the spending. You get the champion, you have to develop the champion. If your account's not ready to develop the champion, you're going to want to spend. You keep spending, and it's a bottomless pit, guys. Even at the very highest end with the best accounts, it's a bottomless pit because you're competing against other people with bottomless pits amount of spending. Ultimately, you spend what you can afford, you spend what you're okay with, and you spend what you're happy with giving away, because the fact that you're very unlikely to ever get any of that money back in this game means the house will always win in raid. Anyways, for me, I don't know if I'm the best person to give advice on basically detaching from a game, because I have my own reasons for playing this game. I'm obviously very invested in this game, not in a monetary sense, but in a time spent sense. But just a friendly reminder that we all have to balance our things in our life, and raid is no exception. We have to balance our time in raid as well and keep it a healthy habit instead of a bad addiction. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for the video. Just a quick little reflection video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully it was helpful for some of you guys out there. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about some good tips to help our fellow raiders if they're having some struggles out there. Thanks for watching until the end. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.